Hey friends, it is ramp season here, and even though it was 80 degrees today, which is very weird for April, we went out foraging for them, which was also weird because typically when I go and do it, we have a little bit of a canopy, especially when they're as new as they are. I guess it is kind of bare when we do it, but I just wanted to talk through how to make ramp pesto because pesto is so simple to adapt and to make dairy free and to do these great things with. And if you don't have ramps or wild leeks wherever you are, you can also use young garlic, like the tops. You can clip some of the leaves off the top and utilize them as well. If you aren't familiar with ramps, they taste sort of like an onion and garlic mixed, or like early green garlic even. So basically every year it's my first harvest. This is the first thing I put away into our freezer, and I love making it. It's so simple, so adaptable, and I just wanted to show you how I do it. There is no real measurements. I have a recipe on the blog for pesto, dairy-free pesto. You can utilize that if you want exact measurements, but I thought I would just show you how I make it right here in my kitchen, just on the whim. So we just went out and foraged. When you're foraging, if you're doing that, make sure that you only take a leaf from one plant. This is what it should look like. So you know, for an identification, it'd smell distinctly like onions when you trim it. And you want to take one leaf from every plant because ramps have a bulb to them, and you'll see them at the farmer's market, but don't condone that, because we could be foraging something that takes years and years and decades to reestablish. These bulbs do not spread in the same way that other plants spread. They take so long to establish themselves, and they have such a rich history that needs to be maintained. And once an area is cleared, these plants disappear altogether. So it is really vital that we forage with extreme reciprocity and with mindfulness, because we want to care for these plants. They are just beautiful, amazing parts of our ecosystem, especially here in northern climates. So they hold deep roots, which hold our soil in place, which hold carbon, which do all sorts of incredible things. So we need to be very thankful for these lovely plants that we get to harvest so early in the season. And I just love doing it. If you do pull up a bulb, make sure it's in a very dense patch and area. Every once in a while, towards the end of the season, I'll pull like 3 or 4, but out of like, I don't even know how many ramps are out there. We're talking like thousands upon thousands in these woods. So to pull 2 or 3 for ourselves, as long as we're doing it from very dense patches, I feel okay with, but I do not suggest it if you have minimal amounts of these in your yard. Do not pull the bulbs. Allow them to continue to reproduce over time. So if you see them at the farmer's market, do not be tempted, or at least ask how they are foraging them, what their sustainability practices are with their foraging, because they're gorgeous, don't get me wrong, but we have to make sure that we're caring for these plants. They're so important, so vital. So you'll need these are the things you're going to need. You will need a food processor or a blender. High-speed blender works as well. You will need plenty of ramps leaves, and you'll want them washed, just rinsed off. I think it's fine. And then I'm using kale, but you could counter it with spinach, with any other sorts of greens, like early Asian greens that have come up, things like that. This is also a great spot to utilize them. You're not going to want to use lettuce, but you need something with a little bit more stability to it. And you'll just want these to kind of counter the flavor of the ramps. Then you're going to want a seed or a nut. You could utilize really anything. Sunflower seeds, in this case, pumpkin seeds. You can utilize pistachios, almonds, whatever you have on hand, and whatever even is like easy to source locally to you. The next thing you'll want is some sea salt, some olive oil. You can also use Grapeseed oil is also fine. Pumpkin seed oil, hemp oil, anything like that's totally fine as well. You want fresh lemons. I didn't have fresh lemons. I only had lemon juice, and then some pepper. If you're doing it dairy, this is if you're doing it dairy free. If you want to add in the dairy, you can add the Parmesan, but it's really not necessary. You could also use nutritional yeast as well if you would like to, but I do not find that it's needed at all. This is usually plenty. So what you're gonna do is make sure you have your little spinny blade on there, and then you're just gonna toss in all the grains. If they have some water on them, that's totally fine. You want to take the stems out of the kale if you're using kale, and I'm just going to go feed those to the chickens. You could also put them in stock as well, and I'm just going to shove all these guys in here. Might have to do it in 2 batches, but I'm going to put some of this in the freezer. Some of it we'll use for dinner this weekend, and yeah, make dressing, all sorts of things out of this. Very, very good way to sneak in veggies to your kids too, because I'm sneaky like that. Okay, I'm first gonna blend these just to get them down a little bit. Okay, got just enough to give some more room, and then I'm just gonna glug some olive oil in there. Probably about a 1/4 cup, I would assume. I'm gonna do a little bit more. Okay. Then I'm gonna add some more of these guys. Oh, I can get that whole rib out of there. One more. Oh, they smell so amazing. When I was pregnant with our daughter, I could not stand the smell of these. And I was at the height of my first trimester when these were available. Okay. I'm gonna use pumpkin seeds because our kids really like them. But like I said, you can use whatever you want. Just doing a couple handfuls there. Doing a little bit of salt. You don't need a lot. There we go. You don't need garlic. In typical pesto, you're going to use garlic, but with the ramps in here, you don't need them. So I'm gonna add a little more. If you can also add a little bit of water. That's not like gonna ruin anything. If you're having like structure issues, like you can't blend it, which happens. There we go. And then you just let it go. That's it. It's crazy. So good. So yummy. That's it. All done. That's it. Seriously. You can taste it. It might need a little salt. It might need a little, pepper even if you want to. I don't put pepper in because my kids always complain. Tastes earthy, spicy. Oh, it's so good. So good. That's spring, guys. Can't get any better than that. So if you make ramp pesto or anything similar with green garlic or early garlic or garlic scapes, anything like that, post your recipe below, or other things you like to add in. I love hearing variations. This is a great way to make use out of a mass amount of greens and all sorts of things that we have available to us right now, and try to do something with them. This is really good. Add it into a potato salad with hard-boiled eggs and new potatoes and all of that, and you just add some of this. You mix everything together with a little bit of extra olive oil and maybe even a little bit of rice wine vinegar. You're good to go. It's very yummy. So I hope you guys enjoyed this. It's always fun to cook with you.